you made this comment how you fell away from your faith, but you experienced abuse at the hands of clergy. Can you share more about that, whatever you're comfortable sharing, and how that maybe changed your view of the faith that you were raised with? And I'm curious how that changed later on, that you actually went to become a clergy yourself after experiencing the worst kind of abuse at the hands of a clergy.
Yeah, this man was, in my opinion, diabolical. He was a predator. I later found out I was number 18. It was the 18th boy he molested. So could have been stopped. Shame on the bishops that didn't stop him, because he kept getting moved. I don't say that as a sweeping blanket statement on all bishops, but on the bishops concerned with this man, you could have done better.
How old were you, Father?
11.
An altar boy, or
no?
Not even.
He just chose me and 2 others that were in the school where he was working, and said he was going to give us a retreat day somewhere, and that's where it happened. But there were signs. I mean, I saw other kids that were around him that were afraid of him. So we always just wondered. But then when it happened, I knew. And that's the day I said, never again. I'm not going back to church. And of course, it's soul crushing, and you don't know what to believe or how to process. And there's so much shame, and there's so much anger and frustration. And my parents knew something was wrong, but they didn't know what. And so he was clever. He knew too that so I had changed. I became a different person, very withdrawn and sad. And so he mentions to my parents, your son looks like he's having a tough time. Do you want me to come over and talk to him? And so they invite him to dinner.
How evil.
And I leave the dinner table and go up to my room, and they send him up to talk to me, and he tries to do it again in my own home.
I'm so sorry, Father.
So yeah, these kind of people, cannot be trusted, and I think that the changes the church has made to protect kids is good. But I tell every parent, do not leave your kids alone with anybody that you don't know super well, like really, really well, ever, because it's a disease linked with demons. When you take a disease and link it with demons, you're going to get really bad problems.
When that happened that evening, did your parents find out soon after? I mean, were you able to?
They didn't know till college. It wasn't until college that I was ready to tell people it happened.
I'm so sorry, Father.
Well, thank you. But here's the good news. So I'm now in religious life, and there's been years of healing that happened. Let me tell you, it's kind of comical. I approached the diocese as a young man and said, because all the lawsuits were coming out, and I wanted no part of their money. They offered me money. I said no, but I would like to get some counseling. Now, at this point, I'm living in Manhattan, and they sent me to a psychologist in Manhattan. The first they wanted me to come to their diocese, which is Long Island. And I said, "What? No, why should I be inconvenienced? You owe me. We'll pick a doctor in here." So I went to the psychologist on my first visit. He said, "I'm going to prescribe you these drugs." And I said, "I don't think I need drugs. I think I need to talk to somebody about this." And he says, "Well, I'm sorry, they only paid for 1 session." Can you believe this? I mean, you can't make it up. And I said, "Forget it. We're good. I'm good. Don't need it." So I'm in religious life now, and
I'm so sorry, but can you share the name of the bishop that was responsible?
Well, he's dead.
He's received justice. Has there been justice done in this case? Meaning that
was
the priest put in prison?
Life.
Not in this life.
No.
He died without going to jail.
The bishop?
Well, the bishop who covered it up.
The bishop is dead. This is another interesting thing. The bishop is dead. The priest is, as far as I know, he's been laicized, but he's still alive.
He's not. He never received any criminal penalties for that. Is it because of statute of limitation?
Yep. So anyway, along this path, the Lord keeps sending me people who've also been abused by just in general. And a funny thing happens when God heals you of something, he then makes the wound glorified, sort of like Jesus's wounds. Mm-hmm. And then he will attract people to you who have similar problems so that you can be a conduit of grace so they can get healing too. Mm-hmm. So all these people start showing up. And out of the blue, they start telling me their story, and it's, they were abused. And I'm like, huh. So then I would kind of share with them and teach them how to forgive. And it was always about forgiveness. You have to forgive. You cannot not forgive. It has to happen. So one day the bishop in Omaha issued some kind of new mandate, and I thought it was stupid or silly or whatever, but I had a gross reaction to it in front of my superior. And he looked at me and said, that wasn't a normal reaction, because what he's doing is not a big deal. Why are you so angry? And I said, I don't know. I feel like he's just abusing his power. He goes, your reaction, it's over the top. Go down to the chapel and pray about it. So I went down to the chapel and started praying. And the Lord said, this is like a trigger for you because of the abuse of power. And I said, okay. He says, you need to forgive the bishop. I forgave the priest, but I never forgave the bishop because I really blamed the bishop. And I said, well, what's the point? He's already dead. And the Lord said, well, no, it's still important. And not just for the bishop, but for you. You have to forgive. So I said, all right, I'm going to start having masses said for him from the priests here, and I'll pray my rosary and offer my intentions for him. And this went on for a few weeks. And then one day I just felt like there was no need to, it was done. Whatever had to be done was done. And so I'm in the chapel one day again after this happened. And the Lord said, because one year I was sent to a prison as my summer assignment at the last day before we were going. And I said, a prison, what am I going to do in a prison? And in prison, you can't speak with the inmates unless they invite you to come. You have to get a note saying, please see me for a discussion. And nobody knows I'm even there. So I go, this is going to be a wasted summer. Well, they have once a year an outdoor retreat where everybody signs up for it because they get the whole day outside, which they never get to do. And this is maximum security prison, rapists, murderers, every skinhead tattoo people. And I show up and I'm in clerics because I'm a seminarian. And the day of the retreat, the deacon, who's the chaplain, says, the keynote speaker had an accident. He can't make it to give the talk today. So you're going to give the talk. And I said, what's the talk on? And he said, life after prison. And I said, I've never been in prison. How can I give this talk? He goes, well, say whatever you want. And he kind of pushes me out there. And I look out and it's the most intimidating crowd of people you've ever seen. I mean,
so you didn't have any time to prepare.
Nothing.
Really. And how many people were in this crowd?
Like 500.
And they just literally walked you up there.
Yes. Like these just like Con Air looking people, crazy looking people. And I just turned to my Bible and I flipped it open and I got to the prodigal son and I read the prodigal son. And I said, you may not believe me, but I wasn't always a seminarian, and I probably, with one foot on a banana peel and the other one in hell, very easily could have been in your shoes. Because when I was young, I was molested by this priest, and it put me on a path of destruction and rage and rebellion that could have landed me right where you are. But the Blessed Mother rescued me, and she wants to rescue you. And suddenly I see tears. Tears are coming down these like very, very looking, strong, crazy people. And I could see it. And I don't think they recognized across the crowd, but I was like, what is happening here? The next day I had about 100 requests for meetings. It filled my whole summer. As it turns out, about 70 to 80% of men who are in prison have been molested. And they go into that life of addiction, which fuels criminal behavior to fund it. I didn't know that at the time, but I do now. So again, all these people are getting help, right? And this is like the biggest demonstration of that I've up to this point. So I'm in the chapel one day after this all goes down. And again, the Lord says to me, can I ask you a question? I'll never forget it. And I said, you've never asked me if you can ask me a question before. And by the way, that was a question. And he goes, I want you to remember this. That's why I asked. And I go, okay, what's the question? He goes, if I could take you back to being 10 years old and remove the abuse from your life, knowing all the good I'm bringing from it, would you change your life? And I thought about it. And I said, well, I'm fully healed. I have nothing left of that. But I can see what you're doing. And I said, no, I'm good. I would keep my life the way it is. I'm happy. And he says, this is the mystery of the cross. Don't ever forget it. Because when crosses come along, you have to relay to people that this is just the piercing, but the blossom of new life is coming. Just hold on.